Hey everyone, Sidharth Kumar from ReviewMagic, and today what we are going to do is to review Into the Night. So, Into the Night is available on Netflix. The season one is out. The trailers were also available, so I'm sure that all of you who are watching Netflix may have glimpsed it in your list of movies. So, I recently watched it, and that's why I'm here today to give you a review of this show. So, what is Into the Night all about? Into the Night is about a group of people that are in a plane and they're trying to avoid a catastrophe impacting Earth. So, every time there is a daylight happening, people in that part of the area they die. So these people who are in a plane, they're trying to survive and just trying to go in a region which is darker, and hopefully they would find a bunker where they can take refuge and not die. So this is what the plot is for Into the Night. So my, why started watching it, because I really like movies that have planes in it. My father was a air engineer officer in the Navy, so I love planes. So that's why I thought, let me give it a try. The reviews were really good on IMDb. It's I think it's around 7.1. So I decided to watch Into the Night just a week back, and I completed the season one. So this show has been created by Jason George, and in the lead, you will find actors such as Pauline, Etienne. You've got Laurent, Capelluto. You've got Stefano, Cassetti, and Mehmet Kurtulus. I apologize if I, said some of the names incorrectly, but these were the lead actors in the show, and they all of them, in fact, did a wonderful job. So the season one is composed of all, I think it's around 7 to 8 episodes, and this essentially is a Belgian series. I regularly am watching shows from around the world, not just English or Indian. So I just wanted to, it gives you a glimpse into the culture of people from different countries, nationalities, etc. So how the show starts is that there is a plane that is supposed to leave the Belgian city and go to Moscow. So there's a plane, and people are trying to embark on it. There's a co-pilot that is trying to make sure everything is working fine in the plane, and all of a sudden there is a person who is Italian. He's a NATO officer, and he just goes up to the checking desk, and he wants a one-way ticket going to the west, everything west from Europe, so somewhere in New York, like JFK. And as he's going to board his plane, he's sitting in a bar and he watches that some people in other part of the world have already died, and people are figuring out what's going on. So he sees a news channel, and that's where he instantly carries a gun. It's most likely a machine gun, and he just marches through his way through security, pushing people aside, and then he gets into the plane. The air hostess tries to close the door, but eventually he gets into it. He hijacks the plane. The captain hasn't arrived yet, but he tells the co-pilot to just take off. So the radio communication with them, is lost. When they are about to take off, there is no Air Force security team, trying to, follow the plane. Nothing happens, but the plane leaves with just 8 to 10 people in it. So you've got Pauline in the lead role. She's there. She's going to Moscow to bury the ashes of her husband who recently passed away. Laurent is the co-pilot. He's the only one in the cockpit. And you've got Stefano, who's that Italian major from NATO, who is the one who gets the gun. And then you've got Mehmet. He's a guy who has who's originally from Turkey and has some criminal background. He's actually smuggling diamonds through someone else who has those diamonds in his stomach, and that person actually dies during the course of the show. But um, uh, the other people in the plane are, there's a lady and her son who's ailing, and he has to go to Moscow to get some treatment. There are a couple of other people, maybe a strong influencer. So there's a lady there, and then one more person. So kind of 8 to 10 people in the plane, not too many. So this plane leaves for Moscow, and as it leaves, it's in the air. There is no internet connection. So somewhere all these servers are down. Nobody can go online. Nobody can see what happened in Belgium. No one can see what's happening in around the world, Moscow, anywhere. So as it is going, this person, Stefano, who has hijacked the plane and he has this gun, he tells that, this is what's going to happen. Everyone's going to die. So they eventually end up going to Scotland. When they go to Scotland, they find three officers there, but they have a criminal background. Someone figures that out. And they're trying to hustle. They're trying to find fuel when they land in Scotland, because they're trying to go west from Belgium. That's the closest place they find for refueling. And things don't go well among people. They don't trust a lot of different people. There are fights that break out. One person is already dead. There is a nurse who's trying to also take care of Laurent, who's the co-pilot, because he gets a bullet in his palm, so that also needs to be fixed. So ultimately, Scotland, they reach there, they refuel, they take these three people who have a criminal background, and they end up somewhere in Canada. That's where they think is the safest. So once they reach Canada, someone among them just locks these three Scottish people, and he runs through back to his plane. So they leave those people back in Canada, and then once they are on board, they get to know that someone has said that there could be some possible bunkers in Hawaii. So they go from Canada then to Hawaii, but while they're going to Hawaii, they end up in Alaska. A lot of interesting things happen here. When they're reaching Alaska, one of the guys, the Scottish guy, he shoots on the window frame of the plane, so it cracks midair, and obviously there is a depressurization that happens. So it's impacting the health of the small kid who has to go for an operation to Moscow, but he can't do now. So everyone's frustrated, tired. People who collect food from Canada or Scotland, because of the sun rays over there, there is no quality of nutrients in those food. It's like bland. So whenever they stop, they're trying to get all the food supply they can, but it's not of any use. It's not proper food. They get some drinks, whatever. They're trying to hustle and manage and survive, get some radio communication, talk to people who have survived or been anywhere. Internet is finally restored, but there's a lot of chaos going on. At some point, they have to lock this Stefano, because he ends up in a scuffle with Mehmet, and he leaves him in the NATO building, just brutally bruised and lying in a pool of blood. But Mehmet is able to rejoin before the plane takes off and goes to the final destination, which is Bulgaria. So while they're in Belgium, they try to go to Alaska, and from Alaska they hear that someone in the NATO office was talking about a possible bunker in the office in Belgium. So they decide to go back to Belgium and to make it in time before it becomes morning again in Belgium. So they start from Belgium, go to Scotland, Canada, Hawaii, Alaska, and now they're coming back to Belgium because possibly someone heard that there was a bunker coordinate. So they go to the office, some people go get the fuel, and it happens so quickly. They get the coordinates, and now they have to go back to Bulgaria. This is where the final coordinates were mentioned. So once they reach Bulgaria, they have to hustle because they only have close to 30 minutes for them to find the bunker and actually take refuge. So as they do it, they split into two different groups. One of the group is able to reach the coordinates in time. The second group is not that lucky because the driver, who is Mehmet, he's lost a lot of blood, so he crashes, and all these people start to walk, which is still far from the location of the bunker. So they ultimately end up in that bunker, and then there is already some military presence in the bunker. They go downstairs, and then that's where the season 1 ends, and it's all about the in charge of the bunker says that they'll take care of how to avoid this situation where if you get exposed to the sun, you're not going to die. So something like that will now will continue in season 2. We'll see what happens. And the guy Stefano, he's actually locked. At some point he is told to, when the second group comes in, he will open the gate to let the second group come, but the second group doesn't come, and Stefano, I believe, is dead. That's the NATO commander. So that was the overview of a deep overview, or maybe a high-level overview of Into the Night season 1. So when we talk about the actual story, I think it's a great story. It doesn't keep you bored. You're constantly engaged from start to the end. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of thrill. So you want to see what happens next, and that takes you from episode number 1 to episode number 8. There's so many moving parts to it. Someone is sick, someone can't fly the plane, someone is out of the fuel, someone needs food, someone needs to get buried, and then you've got some people that have bad criminal records. So it's a very exciting story to watch, and I think in terms of the screenplay that's concerned, you didn't feel that there were dialogues that were written out of place. It was very much to the point, written for the characters in the plot, and everyone had a very distinct story. There were a few more actors that I have not mentioned, but you go back in time and it's a flashback. They think of why they were on the plane, why they wanted to go. So I think the director connects the dots pretty well. He gives you what's happening in the present, but why they are, and for a moment it takes you back into their personal lives, and then you realize that what's the background of this person and how are they going to now manage things now. So I think the acting of all these actors, how they get into the characters was very well executed. The storyline, screenplay, the direction, I think the cinematography, the lighting, because it's all being shot in the dark. So you still are able to see clear faces. You're able to get good quality background images, pictures. So I think everything was done very well. And I don't know how they managed to get a big plane. I think it should be easy, but trying to have that art direction, people who are lying down, the sets and all that, I think it was all tied in pretty well. So that's my review on Into the Night season 1. It's a Belgian series. I recommend you guys to watch it. I hope you enjoy the show on Netflix. And if you also like this content, the review that I just gave, you can subscribe to the channel. So go ahead, watch it, and I'm sure you will enjoy the show. So guys, do watch